Welcome to Stand Up for Doctors. I'm your host, Kim Downey. Thank you very much for joining us. I'd like to welcome Dr. Lulu. Thanks for joining us today, Dr. Lulu.
Thank you so much, Kim. After the technology beat us up for our age, we're here. We're still standing or still sitting.
Exactly. It took us a half hour, but we got it figured out, and here we are. And I'm so happy to finally meet you because I usually start by discussing how we connected. And so way back on May 3rd, I've only been active on LinkedIn since last April, so pretty early on. I connected with you, and then you said hi and thanked me for connecting, and you asked me what I do, and I was still trying to figure that out. So I gave you the Reader's Digest version as best I could. And you were like really nice and you offered to Zoom, and we planned on that, but you had some things come up and it didn't work out at that time. But then you were one of the very first subscribers to my YouTube channel. I think one of the first 3 subscribers, and I was
Yes.
so
I'm a big
happy.
time cheerleader. I will tell you that. I started being a cheerleader as a child. I mean, I'm the first of 6 children. I cheer on my siblings every day as much as I can. I'm just a cheerleader. I'm I try to separate that from people pleaser.
Okay.
Because there's a very thin line between the two of them. And so I've been able to kill off the people pleasing part and just cheer people on. I think we all need a cheerleader on our sides, don't you think?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like I try to do that as well as best I can. Yeah, so we're aligned in that mission.
Yes.
So by way of introducing you, Dr. Lulu is a mom, a pediatrician, a life coach, and an agitator of the governor of Texas. I love that. I laughed out loud.
All day. As at 2 weeks ago, I switched over to the governor of Georgia. So I'll be going to the capital, the state capital this month.
Okay.
It's what I
Oh,
do. I agitate governors. Yes, I do. I'm very
okay.
proud of myself.
Very exciting. I'm proud of you as well. So today, I thought we could talk about your latest installment, which is a notebook for physicians and other healthcare providers, that you're calling Allies in White Coats Beyond Bias in Healthcare. So I'm really looking forward to hearing about it. And as we get started, what would you most like our audience to know about you?
I think that I'm like anybody else. I'm the girl next door, but I'm also the mama beast next door. When your child tells you that they're transgender in America or in anywhere for that matter, in today's world, got to
Mhm.
put that in context. Because if this happened 10 years ago, I don't know that it would have mattered that much. It would have just been like, okay, cool, let's go get you all the care that you need. But today, you can't say, okay, cool, let's get you the care that you need because people are coming after your kids and branding you as a groomer and
Mhm.
just trying to discredit everything that you know as a physician and as a mother and as a person. So I am the girl next door, but I'm also the quintessential mama beast next door.
Mhm.
And maybe even the glowing goddess next door. Somebody just called me that today on LinkedIn. I am all of that and then some. Once upon a time I was just minding my business and my kid said the words, Mom, I'm trans, and my world stopped.
Mhm.
And then I realized that, you know, I had to go through my own journey of self-acceptance. And that's where the mistake is with most of us as parents and as guardians and as caregivers for these people. We make it about us. Oh my God, what are my friends going to say? What are my
Uh-huh.
cousins going to say? What's everybody going to say? But
Right.
truly, it's out of fear.
Right.
If I had accepted my identity as, okay, I'm the mother of a transgender child, there'll be no drama. Just like, I'm moving to Atlanta.
Right.
It's a thing. It's just that's it. But I'm
Mhm.
like, wait, what do you mean you're transgender? What's going to happen? And then who did this to you? What did I do wrong? And all those
Mhm.
things. And it's really, truly because of society. So
Mhm.
I realized as a pediatrician, you know, who talks about suicide in youth, talks about suicide in physicians,
Right.
I had to snatch my own edges and self-correct really quickly. Most people are like, oh, you just found out 2 years ago? Yes, I just found out 2 years ago.
Mhm.
How long do you want me to take? You know?
Right.
It doesn't take long to autocorrect and self-correct and then jump in where you fit in. And I know I fit in the most as a parent, but also maybe even moster as a physician, because
Mhm.
doctors also don't know diddly squat about what's happening in the queer community. So that's the short introduction.
Right. No, well, that's terrific. And then, and that's what we're having you on here today, so you can enlighten us. So that leads us right into your notebook. Is that published yet, or you're still working on it?
I'm actually pretty much done with it, but it's not published. And I think honestly, this year I'm going to publish 3 books, all 3 of them. I might as well. So the first quarter, I'm going to get out the first one, the second quarter, the second one, the third one. I'm gonna do that. Maybe we'll just make it, either 3 quarters or four
Like a
quarters in the
trilogy?
year. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that because it's been long overdue, and they're done. They're done. They're written.
Oh.
I mean, I'm giving a grand rounds next month here at Atrium Health based on the book, and I still haven't published it. I've just
Mm-hmm.
been doing everything else. So I this year I'm going to April, the first one is going to be out, and then whatever 4 months, and then December, I'm going to do that. So it will definitely be out by December this year because I want to get my parent one out, then I want to get my Black parent one out, and then I want to get the physician one out. So, but yeah, it's coming very soon.
Okay, so why don't you tell us about it? Again, it's called Allies in White Coats Beyond Bias in Healthcare.
Yeah, so that was the original name I was working with, and then I went to Johns Hopkins in Tampa, Florida, and I did a session, a 4 hour teaching session with the pediatric residents. And actually I got them to vote, and they voted a different name. It's
Oh,
still Allies in White Coat, but the subtitle is now becoming the culturally compassionate physician your LGBT patient needs, which is really more specific.
mm,
Bias was a bit bigger, but I really want to hone in on the LGBT patients.
sure.
So I gave them a couple of titles and we kind of narrowed it down to that one. So I'm actually happier with that. I think the subtitle is very long, but
Uh-huh.
I I really couldn't get out anything. I want them to become culturally compassionate
Right.
physicians for their LGBT patients. So I mean, yeah.
Right, right, exactly, because that's what it's about. And I think the title you had before was maybe a little too general. So now with it
Yeah.
specific, you're kind of nailing it, that this is really
Yeah.
the heart of it.
Yes, yes, ma'am. And also not just generally, but also vague.
Mhm.
I think it was also vague. Bias was now going to go with, I mean, religious bias. Is
Sure,
it
there's
ethnic
all
bias?
kinds of.
But this time around, and it's not. And I think the LGBT physician allyship is not only based on bias. It's really most of it is also based on just lack of knowledge.
Right.
So as I'm speaking to you, I don't know if this is, I'm happy it's being recorded so I can go back to the sound bites. It's
Mhm.
actually the first time I'm presenting it to one-on-one to you, but like I said, I've done multiple sessions of the LGBTQ plus basics. Most people just want to know the nomenclature, and it's
Okay,
changing every day.
right.
And today, there's a new term, and then tomorrow there's a new term, and then yesterday's term is now no longer valid, or is it valid? I know that by the time the book drops, there'll be a lot of new things, but the core information is first do no harm. So the book
Mhm.
is really based on that.
Right.
I need the patients to leave your office feeling seen and
Mhm.
validated and normalized. And
Mhm.
that's missing when my child goes to the doctor and all they're focused on is her genitals, is her
Mhm.
gender identity. But she has a headache. And
Right. Right.
if I come in with a headache as a cisgendered woman and my genitalia don't matter,
Uh-huh.
or my gender doesn't matter. I don't want it to matter for my child
Right.
or anyone like her.
Right.
That is what I'm fighting against.
Right.
That is why I cannot stop agitating governors or whoever the lawmakers are. The governors are the ones that sign the papers, so I'm going for them, right? Or
Right.
maybe going with them because I recognize governors who are allies, like the governor of California or the
Mhm.
governor of Michigan. I
Mhm.
noticed or the governor of Ohio who vetoed a bill that was later overturned, but vetoed it nonetheless. So there we have some allies,
Right.
but those that are not allies, I mean, I'm going to speak up because as a pediatrician,
Uh-huh.
I know the power of an affirming physician, and I
Mhm.
also happen to know the power of an affirming parent, especially an affirming mom. There are
Mhm.
studies out there that have shown that affirming mothers of Black transgender women,
Mhm.
or rather, Black transgender women who have affirming mothers
Mhm.
specifically, do better.
Mhm.
They thrive better, their resilience is better. That is my child. And that study
Mhm.
has nothing to do. I wasn't even in the study. So as a physician, I have the key to open doors where
Right.
other physicians reside. So I can come in as one of them and then I can disrupt that mindset. So is it easy? No, I
Mhm.
don't want to do this work. One
Uh-huh.
of the things I talk about is, I toss in the Bible a lot because I used to teach the Bible studies when I was a younger version of me. And I know that there was a person in the Bible called Jonah
Mhm.
who didn't listen to the instructions they were given and ended up in the belly of the fish. And my little comedy spin is I would not smell good in the belly of the fish. I
Mhm.
would not look good. It's
Mhm.
not going to match my outfit.
Mhm.
So I don't want to end up in the belly of the fish. And so I want to do the work that I've been given to do, kicking and screaming. But
Mhm.
I also know that, the universe, God sends people like you to help magnify and amplify my voice. I know I can't do this alone, but I know I do need to do it.
Mhm.
And that's all I have. That's all I have. So educating physicians on the very basics of ethics, non-maleficence is first do no harm. Beneficence is to always do good, right? So just reviewing our code of ethics,
Right.
starting with that. Why did you go into medicine? It wasn't to judge anybody based on what you don't understand, because
Right.
that's truly where it is based on a lack of understanding and lack of, you know, maybe opening up your mind. But when it comes to understanding, you don't understand all your patients,
Mhm.
but you
Right.
still do no harm.
Mhm.
So don't come at me with, I don't understand it. I had a doctor tell me that. She said, what if it's against my morals? And I don't know if people cuss on your show or not, but I said, F-U-C-K your morals. That's what I said to her. I said,
Uh-huh.
what has that? I said, objection, Your Honor, relevance.
Uh-huh.
That got to do with my kid. If
Right.
somebody comes in with a substance abuse disorder, are you going to say it's against your morals?
Uh-huh.
Someone
Right.
comes in with HIV, are you going to say it's against your morals? Forget about how they got the HIV. It's
Uh-huh.
HIV. If they come in with tuberculosis, are you I mean,
Right, right. And who are you to judge and what are you judging? And you're picking the things that you're judging, right?
and are you judging because maybe you are queer yourself? Because
Mhm.
there's something called internalized homophobia. I mean,
Mhm.
should we go there? It's something that I struggled with myself because I grew up in a world where I was told that being bisexual was a straight route to hell.
Mhm.
I didn't make myself bisexual.
Mhm.
Trust me, I don't want to be bisexual. As
Mhm.
much as I have power over being bisexual as much as I have power over being Black.
Right. 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 I know, and the culture has just made things so difficult for so many years. Like it's difficult enough to have an internal struggle, right? And then to have society compound on top of that, it's just incredibly painful.
And especially religion. I mean, I like culture because, you know, you can all hide under culture, but I call out religion with my full chest. I call out religious trauma because these people also love God, just as much as I love God. Nobody has a right to tell me what my relationship with the bigger universe should be because of your own narrow-mindedness. You don't get to say that. You don't get to say that to me or my child or anyone like me or my child. So I will speak up boldly and fearlessly, even if my knees are shaking, you
Mm-hmm.
know, you fake it till you make it in this world of speaking out. And so no one has the right to say that. And the truth is, look in your own closet.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of your own cobwebs and your own skeletons on
Mm-hmm.
your way to my closet. Stop at make a U-turn and go to yours first.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm calling out physicians in that realm, the physicians who are not affirming, because of course it's never everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no right to say it's everyone because it's not everyone. I'm a physician and I'm affirming.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not everyone, but it's enough of us. And I say that because of the results, the huge health inequities which we
Mm-hmm.
see,
Mm-hmm.
health inequalities and health inequities are pervasive
Right.
because enough physicians are not affirming. And for those who are affirming, guess what? The law is saying you can't even do this.
Mm,
So it's a
right.
very mixed bag of emotions for a mother who I could just be doing anything right now, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm fighting for my own child to breathe today and then breathe tomorrow.
Right.
It's exhausting.
Right, right. No, I understand that. If you ever find yourself visiting Connecticut, I would love to bring you to our church because you're talking about affirming, and the church I belong to is open and affirming. And we say that no matter who you are or where you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. So,
I would leave my house and actually come to Connecticut just to do that. I one of the reasons I moved to Atlanta, I know we were talking about that before we went on air, is I moved here because I first of all I retired. Second of all, I'm doing this advocacy work or activism work. And third of all, I need a place where there are Black people.
mhm,
And I cannot run away from my own people. I'm not saying that Connecticut is Black, but I'm saying Atlanta is Black.
mhm,
One. And then number two, I need the churches. So it's a fearless work, but it's good work and it's God's work. And
mhm.
I'll do it with my last breath. So I am happy to talk offline about coming to your church. I'm going to be going to Alabama to a couple of churches actually in Alabama in the next
Oh,
several weeks
okay.
because I'm going to where the people are and I'm educating them and showing them what I now know
Mm-hmm.
and showing them the power of being that person, that one. Studies have shown that children need only one affirming adult in their lives, one affirming
Mm-hmm.
adult,
Mm-hmm.
not even parent, affirming adult in their
Right,
life to thrive. Formerly suicidal youth will thrive with just one single affirming adult. That's
right,
the power. And they have a lot of mental health struggles with anxiety and depression and self-harm and eating disorders and you name it, substance abuse, looking for love in all the wrong places,
right.
right? So let's talk about why we decided to be physicians. It was to make a difference in people's lives. And so I thought being a doctor was big. Being a doctor is a needle in a haystack for
Mm-hmm.
this work that I'm doing of
Mm-hmm.
teaching the world. I'm going against the Supreme Court, basically,
Right,
right? Because,
right,
or at least the local legislature. So it's a work that I will do.
right.
And I thank you for being an affirming space, if nothing else, being at least a magnifier of my voice.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's kind of all I have. So the book is going to be dropping. I know it's going to be an instant ban in some places, but I welcome the ban because that means there's attention. That
Right.
means
That's what I
somebody's
heard. If people
uncomfortable.
are right, that means people are talking about it, right? And,
Yes,
and,
that
and
means
reading
people
it
are
and know
uncomfortable
about it.
about it. Yes, not just talking about it, but also uncomfortable about it. And let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to share with other physicians besides what you've already said? Is there a few points when they have a child such as your child coming into their office? What do you want them to keep in mind? Was there anything
Well,
else?
a couple of things. That's a great question. A couple of things. The first one is in the next couple of months, I'm going to be opening up my practice. It's called Dr. Lulu's Pride Corner. It is a family focused, gender affirming care coaching practice. So it's not medical
Mm-hmm.
as much as medications. Because I'm a life coach, is a coaching practice. And I'm going to be starting with children as young as 3, or rather families with children as young as 3. It's a family focused practice, it's coaching. So I would like the physicians to know that so they can send me their patients. It's going to be virtual, it's coaching. So I don't necessarily need a license for that as a medical license, even though I'm licensed in California, Texas, Minnesota, and Georgia. I am not going in to write prescriptions for a 4-year-old. Hello. But I'm going in to write a prescription of love for the parents, of caring for the parents, for affirmation for the parents, of support for the parents, of self acceptance for the parents. That's the prescription I'm writing. And for the family, because I realize that when a child is transitioning, it's a family affair. The
Mm-hmm.
siblings are transitioning. The parents are transitioning. The grandparents, the community is
Mm-hmm.
transitioning. It's no longer just my child. I have to transition into a mama beast, aka a parent of a transgender child. That's a new identity. What is
Mm-hmm.
that like? A sibling of a transgender child. That's a new identity. What is that like? My youngest was the one that opened my eyes to this. I, moving here, he's 6'2", so I gave him my SUV. He used to drive it to high school, then he started driving it to college. I was like, you know what? You can keep it. But one of the things I noticed is I would put my little LGBT flag on the dashboard when I'm driving my SUV. And when he's driving it, he will remove it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll put it back. And then so one day I asked him, I said, what's the deal? He said, Mom, I just don't want the kids in high school to do anything to my car in Texas. And I never thought about the fact that he's also transitioning into
Mm-hmm.
becoming a protective sibling.
Mm-hmm.
And this is his way of making sure that no harm comes to my property on account of that. You
Right.
know,
Right.
in his ways, he also said, Mom, I went from a big brother to a big sister, right? I said, yes. I said, you never talk about that. I
Mm-hmm.
don't talk about the siblings' journey. When I'm talking, I'm always talking about parent, parent, parent. I was like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, you know what? My own parents have to go through their own transition of first grandson to now first granddaughter. What is that like?
Mm-hmm.
And so the answer to your question when the patient comes in the room, just treat them exactly the way you would treat any other patient.
Mm-hmm.
However, comma, use the proper name, use the
Mm-hmm.
proper pronouns.
Mm-hmm.
Ensure that everyone in your office knows this because the contact with the patient begins, or rather, the patient experience begins way before they come into your office. When they pick up the phone to call and say, my name is Susan,
Mm-hmm.
or hello, may I speak to John? No, actually, this is Susan. Wait, but I have John on your chat. Yes, but my name is now Susan, right?
Mm-hmm.
At that moment, you need to stop and call them Susan and say,
Mm-hmm.
well, and ask them how you can help, be of service. And they might say, change the name in your system, flag it, whatever you need to do. And when they come in, just treat them like a regular patient.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make it obvious. So Susan,
Mm-hmm.
making it obvious that you see John, you know what I mean? Or whatever you're
Yes.
thinking. I know
Yeah.
that because my first name is Uchenna. And every time I'm at the doctor's office and they walk up and they want to call the name and they're like, I'm gonna mess this up, is what they say, or to themselves. And like,
Okay.
you I
Oh,
know it's me.
okay.
Just say my name, right?
Right.
So as an example, and then use the right pronouns. And most importantly, use the names of the body parts that they choose. Some people
Mm-hmm.
say chests.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the word breast is triggering, causes
Mm-hmm.
dysphoria for them. So you can ask them that.
Right.
So your name is Susan. I'm going to call you Susan. My name is Dr. Lulu, and my pronouns are she, her.
Mm-hmm.
What are your pronouns? Would you like to share your pronouns?
Mm-hmm.
If it's a child and we don't know what the situation with the parent is, don't go there because we don't know what the situation with the parents is.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a teenager who you're going to see later on alone anyway, bring it up at that point. I notice you have a new name on your chart.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for feeling safe enough to share that with our office. How would you like me to address it when your parents are in the room? Are your parents in the know? How can I help make this journey easier? That is your job as an affirming physician.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else. You want them to leave that office saying, yes, I have someone on my side.
Right.
Everyone in this doctor's office is on my side. And let me tell you what's most important. As a physician in private practice, ultimately, it's about the bottom line. You want to stay in the black, don't you? Imagine the power of one queer patient telling all their queer friends that that doctor
Mm-hmm.
is good people.
Mm-hmm.
It seals the deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, gender affirmation, I don't think I've said this before, but I'll say it now. What I realized from my child's own journey is that gender affirmation is a family affair, but gender affirmation is also much more than just hormones and surgery.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole mindset shift.
Right.
It's about calling me by the name that I want you to call me by. My name is Dr. Lulu. No, it's not my government name, but because I introduce myself as Dr. Lulu, you call me Dr. Lulu, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
My father calls me Dr. Lulu, and I get a chuckle out of it because when I was retiring, my last name as Dr. Ume, I told him, I said, Daddy, guess what? I'm going to retire your name. And he said, you have reached the pinnacle of your career. You can do whatever you want to do. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't asking permission. I was telling, I'm retiring your name and I'm now going to be known as Dr. Lulu.
Mm-hmm. But he affirmed that for you, right?
That's it, period. Like we say in the queer community, period, with a T. You know, it wasn't, oh my God, why don't you do that? Oh my goodness. Some people get curious, which is what you should do always.
Mm-hmm.
Lead with curiosity. So, Dr. Lulu, I mean, like maybe where'd you get that name from? I'm like, you know what? That's my registered trademark. It's like Oprah, but with
Okay.
a doctor, or like Madonna, but with a doctor. So I just want physicians to go into the space with that mindset of affirmation,
Mm-hmm.
affirming your patients in any way they want to be affirmed. And when it comes to the new name, just get used to it. If your sister got married and became Mrs. Brown from Mrs. James, guess what? You will call her Mrs. Brown. And for
Mm-hmm.
the Christians out there, I want to just suggest that there was an apostle called Saul, whose name was changed to Paul.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't fuss about that.
Mm-hmm.
We went with the flow. Remember that.
Hmm. Well, thank you very much. This was a very powerful conversation, and I really appreciate you sharing. And I can't wait to share this episode with everyone. And how can people reach out to you?
Oh, thank you so much. So my website, which is under construction this moment, is dr-lulu.com. However, my social media are all open at Dr. Lulu Talk Radio, DrLuluTalk Radio. I am most excited about my podcast called Moms, the number 4 Trans Kids, where me and 3 other moms who truly we go and we talk about mommying trans kids. So please find us, follow us, listen in, and come on the show. We want physicians to come on the show who are affirming to talk about their own journey of affirming their patients. Let's all just have a nice little party.
Okay, well, that sounds wonderful. Well, thanks again for being my guest today, Dr. Lulu. I'm so happy that we were able to have this conversation.
You're very welcome. And thank you so much for being affirming. And let's talk about your church on a more serious note.
Okay, all
You
right.
can
Well, that
delete that. You can
oh,
delete that part, but yeah,
oh
I
no, I
won't
won't. I
want to.
won't delete anything.
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you. And I'm
Oh,
glad we're able to get technology to work with us.
yes, yes, it was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
Okay, so in closing, to move the needle in healthcare, we all need to raise our voices and we all need to care about each other. We already know that doctors need to care about patients. Patients need to care about doctors too. So stand up, doctors, and let's stand up for doctors.
I love it.